Dean here with Blender. Blender, we're invading your time. We're invading your space. Typically, this is when you do your show Monday through Friday, 11 o'clock. But baseball takes precedence here, Blender. Day baseball, just a heads up, we're doing this again tomorrow as well. Wednesday and Thursday, the slate is basically during the day.
And Dean's gone. We killed him. We killed Dean. Dean's dead. I don't know what happened to him. Yeah, but there's day baseball, and Dean isn't used to getting up early. I guess Dean's webcam got disconnected or something. He's gone. Oh, he's gone. He's even at a StreamYard. Okay, let's all say a prayer for Dean. He'll be back. I'm assuming he'll be back. You know what will get him back? You know what will get Dean back? Hitting that thumbs up button. Hit the like button. Hit the like button. Hit the notification bell. Hit everything on your screen. Right? The more thumbs ups, the more likes and subscribes we get. Quicker and quicker, Dean comes back to host the show. But good morning, everyone in the chat. Feel free to post in. We got the Suki Singh. We got the pregame people. Right? This is kind of like a mix between audiences. Right? We got some people that only tune in for the GrindersLive and the crunch time stuff that don't show up to the teaching time with theory at DFS. Talk about DFS strategy, and a lot of times it's as long as you don't build bad lineups, you're pretty much good in MLB DFS. We got a 9-game slate today. We're still getting the lineups in. Good morning, everyone in chat. Kickstart, Guild Ticket, Daniel Hutchins, Jupocalypse. Devin's here in the chat. Jay Steele, Eric Johnson, Dean L. Mari Don Yeezy with the coffee. I got soda, right? I had to find caffeine. I get to find caffeine in the refrigerator, and then there you go. There's caffeine. There's some caffeine. I mean, we could take our time. I mean, we got plenty of time, right? We have crunch time coming up, 12:15 Eastern. That'll be with Roth, with Cheese, with TJ. I'm assuming TJ will have the Spidey bombs and stuff like that. But yeah, so tune in for that. Hit the thumbs up button. Dean's back, I think. We could add him. How you back? Not dead.
Yeah, that was very strange. I don't really know what happened, but yeah, I heard you say, and Dean disappeared. I'm like, what? I'm right here. What are you talking about? But yeah, I don't know what's going on. Apparently, my cam just kind of gave up for a second, but I'm back. I don't know what I missed.
Looking at you.
That's that's a likely story.
It's had enough. I'm done.
It had a good run, I suppose. We have lineups coming in Blender. It's always nice, baseball season. Lineups coming in an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours before the game starts. We're spoiled by baseball for sure. I'm not sure what you touched on, but Eli Jimenez went on the DL before their lineup came out there in Chicago. The White Sox now a little bit hurt there without Eloy. Tim Anderson, Robert, Roberts, Benintendi, Moncada, Vaughn, Sheets, Grandal, Oscar Carlos, the rookie, and Elvis Andrus batting ninth. We got the Giants lineup. I don't know when this one came in. I must have missed this one. Pretty standard, I believe. Wade, Conforto, VR, Peterson, Yaz, Estrada, Crawford, Sable, Perez. They have Sable labeled as a catcher, but I believe he's playing outfield. He had a nice spring. They did swap him out a couple times, kind of one of those pinch hit risks whenever a lefty comes in. What's up, Blender? How are things in your world? And
maybe you want to connect to a better microphone.
Oh, you know what?
It's not bad, but I could tell.
So for some reason,
the mic doesn't want to hear you either. The mic gave up on you as well.
It defaults to my AirPods, which is so weird. Like, why would it do that? But all right, I should sound different. At least as good as I can sound. Does that sound?
I mean, your voice sounds the same, but I mean, that won't never get better. People hate my voice. That ain't gonna change.
Yeah, I've heard that before. They like to impersonate it though. It's a fun voice to impersonate. And I don't know if that's flattering or not. They say imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. So, do you like when people do your voice?
I don't know. It stands out.
Yeah. And you have a couple, like, you have some taglines,
Right, well, that's the whole point. Who cares? As long as people remember, it doesn't matter to me.
It's a good play whoever you want slate, potentially, because let's talk about the overview. It's a 9-gamer, lots of games, lots of teams, lots of studs, right? A lot of ones coming back to pitch again for the second time around. Most with success the first time, some not so much. Jacob deGrom got beat up the first game. Of course, I was talking to Stevie yesterday, and I saw Dave Potts. Cheeseisgood. He'll be on later. They're basically saying you got BABIP. That's sort of what happened there. The strikeout stuff was there, but the batting average on balls in play was like 700 or something goofy like that. Obviously, that's there's going to be some positive variance. Garrett Cole was incredible. His first start against the Giants. On the other end of that game, Logan Webb was really spectacular as well. I think he had 12 strikeouts, which is kind of out of character for him. He's always a good pitcher, but you don't really necessarily expect that many Ks. Cease versus San Fran. Cease was phenomenal. As long as he keeps his control in check, he should be good. McClanahan's an absolute stud. Negative ballpark chip, but he gets to face a terrible Washington team. Christian Javier versus Detroit. We've been picking on Detroit to various degrees of success, I suppose. Got a first blood revenge game for Pablo Lopez against the Marlins. Looked spectacular at his first start. Obviously, the ballpark here in Miami's, cavernous. It's beautiful to pitch in. Not a lot of power in that Marlins lineup. The Marlins lineup just pretty putrid. We have a 4K, like one of the top pitching prospects in all of baseball. Grayson's Rodriguez is going to be making his MLB debut today. Not necessarily by there was thoughts that he would start the season with the club. He did not start, but I believe there's an injury that kind of opened up that is what's giving him the start today. And he's 4K on DK, and I did see a note on Twitter that apparently Fanduel added him. I don't know how long ago, but like it's 7.5K. I'm always curious how they came with that price, but yeah, 7.5 for Grayson Rodriguez on FanDuel. Cardinals lineup just dropped, by the way. Donovan, Burleson, Goldie, Arenado, Gorman, Carlson, Walker, Edman, and
Knizner.
No, that's not right. It's
Knizner. Is the K silent? Is it Knizner or Knizner? Neisner?
Oh, geez. I've heard this so many times. There's like a mental block. You just forget some things for some reason. I never remember this guy's name. It's not Wilson Contreras. There you go. Downgrade as far as catcher.
Is it Knizner?
Thank you, Spencer, for wishing me a happy birthday. It's not my birthday, but I appreciate it. A Kisner. That's what it is. It's Kisner.
Oh, so it's a silent N?
Yeah. The N is just, I don't know why it's there, but it's there. But yeah, it's Kisner. I never remember that for some reason, but there you go. Doesn't matter. But he's obviously a downgrade from Contreras, day game after a night game. So that St. Louis lineup, really, really good, but slightly downgraded today. But the one lineup that people are going to be talking about, the one glaring thing, we talked about all the studs, kind of mentioned all the studs. We'll dig into it as far as the slate overview. And I'm really curious to get your thoughts. I assume, knowing you, that you're going to have less Tampa Bay Rays than the field. They are very clearly better positioned than basically anybody else. Their team total is above 5. Jump at a ballpark, they're facing, as far as positive environment, go from Tampa to Washington. And they're facing Patrick Corbin, who is bad at throwing baseballs when compared to his contemporaries. Gives up way too many home runs. Last year, as far as homers per 9, you give a 1.5. That's too many. He also gives up too many walks. And the ownership is flooding in on the Tampa Bay Rays on an 18-game slate. We'll talk about that, but I know you well enough, I think, Blender, that I think you're going to be off the Rays to some degree, or more than the field, or if nothing else, you're going to be playing them distinctly different than everybody else. What's your slate overview? Lots of studs and a clear offense in the Rays. Some other good ones too. That are in the middle. They're not necessarily facing aces like the Braves and St. Louis. But I'm curious to get your thoughts as far as the slate overview.
Well, I mean, we still have soft pricing, so I mean, you could fit in kind of. I mean, you don't really have like the totals on the slate. Like the Rays have 5.38, then everything else is like we got some in the mid 4s, a whole bunch under 4. There's not much to pay up for, so like pay up for bat wise as far as expensive stacks. So I'm expecting two expensive starting pitchers. Like we have Grayson Rodriguez there at 4K that you could use if you want. I'm going to assume similar to like the minor leagues that like he's going to be limited to like 75 pitches. which at 4K, I mean, yeah, he could strike out 7 in 4 innings. I mean, he could be great for 4K, but I'm not even sure if you need to even use him. And also, obviously, he's making his first major league start. So, I mean, like, sometimes that doesn't go well, right? You can't just expect it right out of the bat. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure how much Rodriguez I'm going to have. And I'm not sure how much Rays I'm going to have because the Rays are underpriced. I mean, for the total, I mean, you're sitting there. Yeah, you don't have Brandon Lowe in the lineup because they're facing a lefty, right? But you got Paredes at 3,400, Harold Ramirez at 3,300. You got Yandy and Wander Franco in the 4Ks. You got Siri and Maya and Walls. They're under 3K. Like, Arozarina's 5,200, sure. But, I mean, making a Rays stack is pretty easy. They're facing probably the worst pitcher, at least from a ceiling perspective. 83-degree weather. I mean, in comparison to some of these other games where the weather's in the 40s or 50s. I mean, that's the obvious construction is going to be something like Cole plus Javier plus Rays. If you're playing GPP,
is it obvious? Is it obvious that DeGrom's behind those two?
Yes,
okay. I mean, I guess the one hit on DeGrom would be like, even if he's spectacular, he's not going to throw 100 pitches most likely. So he's probably throwing 10 less pitches than everybody else, give or take.
Right.
So I guess that's enough to dock him.
Right, and Javier's facing the Tigers, and he's 8,100. So, I mean, like, hey, if you want to throw in DeGrom, if you want to throw instead of Javier, I think Gerrit Cole is easily the top owned pitcher at least, right? So, but that type of construction where you're playing Cole, Javier, something 5-man Rays stack, like in GPP, it's just like, don't do that. Like that's the essentials of MLB DFS GPPs. Right. What's what a lot of people can do combinatorically? And don't do that. Right? Just simply don't do that. I will most like I play the 121 every slate that I play. That's to me the softest contest out there. The 121 single entry battery flat payout structure DraftKings contest.
I'm in there today. I'm taking a down blender. There you go. We're calling
the ownership's going to be so. I mean, to me, the ownership, like if I could just X out the Rays and build whatever I want in that contest, the Rays are going to be so ridiculous. They're going to be 40-50% owned in the 121. And I could just
Arozarena is going to be outrageous.
Because I did that yesterday with the Blue Jays. I had the Rays yesterday in the 121, right? But they were much less owned because the Blue Jays were the chalk. So I just X out the Blue Jays, and then I play Valdez, Castillo, Rays.
Yeah,
I still have Chalky Rayleigh in there. I still got people in there that were decently owned, but
I had the Cardinals. That did not work out for your boy.
No. I had Royals. I had 5-3 Rays Royals. I had Franmil, Bobby Witt 0, right, and Hunter Dozier 0 also. But the Rays, I had all the good Rays. On this slate for GPPs, like if just like literally don't do that. My 2 larger field lineups, I'm probably not going to have. I'm not going to play the Rays, right? I'm not even sure how you play the Rays in a way that others don't, right? I mean, it's just that, like, instead of playing a Arozarena,
don't play a Arozarena. I mean, he's their best player, and he's like the super. Right. He's the first guy you plug in.
To be in stacks, but they're. If you're playing for like what's the best projected team, the Rays are number 1. Okay, so like we're not saying the Rays are bad plays, right? I have to remember we're on Grinders Live. We're not on the pregame show. Where it's just like we just talk about strategy. Like that if you're playing your friend, and they're like you get to choose a team that is going to score the most fantasy points today. The best bet is the Rays, right? But when it comes to GPPs, the ownership matters, right? You're trying to take down first in a way where you're not sharing so many points with so many other people also. They're all going to be combinatorically owned together also. So, like, I mean, I think you could play like anything after that. I mean, I probably wouldn't play the Phillies against Cole. Like, it's like, you get relative value, right? Leverage against Cole. Like, it's a 9-game slate with 18 teams. and I say this on the DFS pregame show. I did an MLB primer series. If you want to go back and watch 2 weeks worth of content and whatever, I talked about it in the leverage. There's 2 leverage episodes. They're marked like that. I said it's not just like, oh, well, what happens if Cole fails? It's like, well, Cole failing involves ceiling. It has nothing to do. If Cole only has 14 points, he failed.
Yeah.
Right. That's failing. But if
Phillies
he
get 4 runs and nobody wins.
Right, but that doesn't mean the Phillies put up a lot of runs. It just means the Phillies put up 4 runs on Cole. Okay. They put up 4 runs. Is that going to be the winning stack to play 5 Phillies? Probably not. So like I don't like playing stacks against aces because like they still have to be the top, like they still have to be the high scoring stack. And Cole could fail, so just don't play Cole. Right, so I'm going to be off the Phillies.
It worked yesterday, right, with Scherzer and the Brewers. I think the Brewers were like the top team because they went back to back to back like multiple times on Scherzer.
Right, and then the bullpen as well. Right.
Yeah, I mean, it can happen, but it's unlikely. Yeah, I do think that I'm okay one-offing or like homer hunting with a guy like Schwarber or even Derek Hall against Cole. So. The worst pitcher on the slate as far as giving up home runs, homers per 9, Patrick Corbin, 1.59. Number 2 and number 3, if you put all 22 pitchers, 21. Grayson Rodriguez doesn't have a stat in the major leagues. Number 2 and number 3 as far as yielding the most homers per 9 last season, Garrett Cole, second most. Yeah, go ahead.
Right.
We can guess the third.
Cole and then maybe... Let's see. I'll guess Mitch Keller.
No, Mitch Keller actually pretty good. 0.79 as far as yielding homers. Big ground ball guy, 49% ground ball rate. His fly ball rate last year was 28.5%. So he's not somebody you necessarily want to homer hunt against.
Oh, we don't have Hunter Green on the slate. I was going to say Hunter Green, but he's not on the slate.
Hunter Green would. I didn't put him in the column, but yeah, he's playing in the 12:30 game. I would imagine he's probably would be at least like 1.8 or something like that. Fabulous stuff, but we'll give up plenty of homers, bad ballpark to throw fly balls in as well. But the point is, I was saying it's good pitchers. So 2 is Garrett Cole and 3 is
Corbin Burns.
Not Corbin Burns. 3 is Jacob DeGrom.
Okay.
DeGrom 1.26, and DeGrom's also a guy I think you can run on as well. Corbin you can run on as well too. He's given up a fair bit of stolen bases. But yeah, I'm okay homer hunting against Cole and DeGrom. I don't see myself fully stacking against either one of those guys, but picking off a homer or 2 is something I will consider doing. Logan Webb, by the way, shout out to Logan Webb, 0.51 homers per 9. I know pitching in San Fran helps him, but fly balls at 23.8%, almost a 57% ground ball rate last year. Just a guy I do not like stacking against. I know he gave up, I think, a homer against Judge that opening day. I'm like, I'm not going to play Judge because Logan Webb just keeps the ball on the ground, and Judge smacked one out his very first at bat. Shout out to him. But yeah, I'm with you as far as like Cole can fail and the Phillies can fail, and that's a more likely scenario than Cole failing and the Phillies being the best team of the slate. Which I think that's the point you're making, correct?
Right. Right, I don't mind one-offs, even a 3-man or something. That's fine. It's just that to have 4 or 5 guys from one team, yeah, like dude, they have to put up like 8 runs, 10 runs. I mean, could they do it off the bullpen? Is it impossible? No, of course not. But like, I'm not gonna. I don't stack against aces for that reason. On a 4-game slate, sure, you don't have many choices. But on a 9-game slate, I don't think that there's a reason to.
You get goofier the smaller the slate is, right? As a general rule.
Like as the opportunity cost goes down, then you get goofy. Then you could start like not even 5-man stacking, 4-man stacking. Then you play ultra. Then the ownership of the pitchers start getting even more condensed, and then it's like, okay, I'm going to stack against a 78% owned pitcher, and just I know that I'm either coming in first or last on this slate, and hopefully it's one or the other.
I like how 4-man stack is goofy to you. Like I know you have your rules, and I know you study this stuff well, certainly more than I do. But like, I'm just like, I'll play a 4-man stack today. Like, whatever, I don't care.
I mean, you can. I mean, I'm not saying you can't. It's just that as a heuristic, just if you always 5-man stack on DraftKings, like you're more likely to run into plus EV lineups than not doing so.
The chat wants to know. Multiple people are asking as far as the Rays. So they hear us about the Rays, but they're like, would you use the Rays as a mini stack? Or what about playing the Rays and just leaving a bunch of salary on the table, playing with Grayson Rodriguez or something like that? Is that a way to play the Rays differently? They want to play the Rays, and I understand why.
I mean, you can just make the rest of your lineup, but you have to find leverage in the rest of your lineup. I mean, dude, you can play a 5-man Rays stack. I mean, feel free, play a 5-man Rays stack. I probably wouldn't play Cole in that lineup. The 3 other guys in the lineup are. That's where I played Kyle Schwarber. That's where I played Derek Hall. Then you have to find other ways to get different, and it's much harder because you're just eating so much ownership in your stack. So I mean, yeah, you definitely can. It's so much easier though because all the batters on the Rays are correlated to each other. To just have a lineup without Rays, just hope the Rays don't do well.
Current ownership
don't
projection.
Hit a ceiling. They can score 6 runs and not be the top stack. So who cares?
They can score 10 and no homers, and they're kind of worthless, right?
Well, I mean, they could steal 17 bases. I mean,
sure,
that could happen, right?
Yeah, worthless is probably not the word I should use, but they're not necessarily like elite, right?
Right.
The 7-run team can be better than the 12-run team, depending on how those runs are scored. Garrett Cole, 42% as far as ownership on DK. Christian Javier, 29%. DeGrom at 21%. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it should be a little higher than that for DeGrom. Baltimore. Baltimore's a tough opponent, but I just think that when DeGrom's on, again, as far as the pitch projection, I think it's like 85 or so. That seems like the logical bump. I want to check and see what card he has in the bats. Got to be cheating with the bat. I saw you tweeting out. Like, feel free to let the people know about you're taking advantage of the bats and you're using it for, I think, prize picks. Is that correct?
That's absolutely right. I mean, once baseball season starts, I use it for prize picks and underdog because sports betting is not legal in Kentucky. Well, it just got passed,
right?
So maybe a year from now. I mean, it takes a while for them to set everything up. But prize picks and underdog, where you have to find the most advantageous props because you're forced to build those at least a 2-pick. Kind of card, right? Pick 2 squares. So I used that. This is what I did last year. I used the bat statistical projections, which are available on RotoGrinders. If you have to pay to add on for the bat for Derek Carty, and last year I would take the CSV export and throw it in Excel and have it do the calculation of like what's the prop, where do I get to the minus 137, and then I compare, and then I look on 2 screens and I go, look at that number, look at this number, and then if there's enough of the discrepancy, I take it, right? It's plus EV, positive expected value. Now on EV Analytics, which is kind of Carty's partner site that for sports betting. That has the bat projections already in there. They've added prize picks to their prop screen. My scraper for prize picks sucks, right? And going back and forth manually, like this probably takes me 5 minutes to compare everything. Well, with EV Analytics, it's literally on the screen. I mean, I sort by the column that's called expected value. And then I look at and I go, okay, those are the ones. Those are the ones. And then I start making my 2-pick, right? Because that's what I do on prize picks. I don't build like 4 power play. These cards. I want to have reduced my variance as much as possible, right? I want to make it so that I don't want to have to win 5 out of 5. If I win 3 out of 5, I make money, right? Because I'm just round robining all of them. And currently, right now on prize picks, compared to the bat projections currently, I got some better numbers, right? Like they have Hunter Green on prize picks at 7. I've already gotten him at 7.5 under. But it's still, according to the bats projection, still plus EV, Hunter Green under 7 strikeouts. Also, I got Stroman under 5.5 strikeouts. I guess Mitch Keller under 4.5 strikeouts is another pretty good one. And the best one of the bunch, I'm shocked that it's still up. Let me check. Let me make sure that it's up. To me, this would be like the gold star play of the day. As far as an expected value standpoint, let's see, they still have it up if you could get it. After I say it, you may not be able to get it anymore. Eduardo Rodriguez under 17.5 pitching outs. That means he has to pitch 6 innings against the Astros.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, I played Eduardo Rodriguez in DFS probably more than other people because I think he is a quality pitcher. The dude throws could have innings of 38 pitches in them. I mean, like this dude goes 6-7 pitches per at bat, it seems, all the time. Getting to 6 innings,
Also, Houston's really patient team. Bregman walks 13-14% of the time. Jordan 12%, Abreu 12%, collectively at 11.1%. The only one that doesn't walk on this team basically is Pena Tucker, 7-9. But well, it's interesting. I'm looking at the plate IQ. We don't have the 8-9 hitters because I think it's guys we don't have data on.
Cesar Salazar, is he a fictional player, computer generated player?
I don't. I guess that's Maldonado as backup. I don't know who Cesar Salazar is. I know Corey Julks. I was looking into him the other day on Fangraphs. Wasn't aware of him until 3-4 days ago. But a lot of power and a lot of speed. I wouldn't necessarily call him a prospect anymore because he's 27. I want to say. By the way, so the thing you're talking about, if you have RotoGrinders Premium, RG Premium, we have. I know we had it for basketball, and I was checking. We have it for baseball as well, and we have the Erod one you're talking about. And it basically, there's a column. It says the win percentage chances, right? And according to our numbers, they win.
According to the RotoGrinders number. Because the one that we have as part of RotoGrinders Premium is with the RotoGrinders projections. The one that I'm using is with the bat projections. I mean, the RotoGrinders projections are good also. So, I don't want to put that down. But I'm assuming you're going to tell me that it shows that Erod's win percentage on the 17.5 pitching outs is very good.
75.14% of the time, that should win.
The under.
Correct. Should be less than, So the expectancy, the projection is 17.5 innings. The expectancy is 14.97. Basically 15 outs is the median, projection. So that hits 75% of the time. And there's a whole, it sorts it out for you as far as if you just want to pick the top win percentage players, you don't want to think about it. By all means, you can do it that way. Corey Kluber, less than 16.5 innings. 70%.
I'll definitely take the under on 16.5 innings.
Oh, exactly.
That's a good one.
Well, he's pitching in 1923 is what I didn't tell you. And the game's going to go extra innings. Nobody can hit the baseball, so it's going to be, you get comfortable. 16.5 outs. But it's just one thing. I'm always discovering things that I didn't realize this was a thing on RG. But that's something that's there if you were not aware of it. Not just for Prize Picks, also for Underdog as well. So feel free to check that out if you guys have RG Premium. But I did want to mention, you mentioned the weather. Of course, Chief Meteorologist Kevin Roth will be coming on later. Let's see. I think he comes on about 12:20 is when Crunch Time's jumping in. They're going to take you guys straight up the lock, answer your questions in chat. And chat, hit that like button, subscribe. Give me those stubby thumbs, as Blender would say, right? Subscribe, turn on those notifications, do all those things so you know when we go live. We're going live tomorrow, Thursday. We're doing basketball later on tonight, basketball tomorrow night as well. Weather-wise, and I was going to say, throw your questions in. We want this to be an interactive show. Whatever's in your mind. Blender loves the this guy or that guy question, so throw as many of those in.
They'll have a time for that, 12:15. They'll go around the horn. Obviously, a lot of people don't tune in as much in the morning to the DFS pregame show where I teach DFS strategy. We don't necessarily talk about the slates. So my approach is much more, mathematical and numbers driven and not take driven. But that's why we have Crunch Time coming on right after this at 12:15. Roth will give you all the updates on the weather, right? Cheese will be there. TJ, they'll go around the horn. They'll go position by position. They'll talk about that. Everything, right? I mean, we're playing GPPs. If you're playing cash contests, if you're playing double ups and head-to-heads, and you don't have projections, I don't know what you're doing. But essentially, Cheese will tell you who the best projected players, value-wise, point per dollar, based on the RotoGrinders projections. At 12:15, if you don't have it, but you should have a way, as I say in the morning all the time. You need to have a way of converting player names into numbers. Right? That's table stakes now in 2023 DFS. And I would suggest you get them here at RotoGrinders by signing up for RotoGrinders Premium, clicking on the link in the description, getting $10 off your first month. You get the premium package, you get everything, right? So that you have to do that first. Once you have that, it's like, well, who's the best second base play? Just go to the lineup HQ and sort second base by the point per dollar column, and there you go. It's not that complicated. I don't know, why I have to tell you that. But weather-wise, I'm assuming, Dean, we're going to be talking about Pittsburgh, Boston.
Yeah, well, I saw somebody in chat asking about the Pittsburgh, Boston, and Alan's like, hey, fade Pirates and Red Sox because of the bats and weather there. And it's, generally not that simple. And we're talking about an outcome of one. And we're going to talk about what's happened previously, what the Weather Edge tool is, if you're not aware. Basically, it'll tell you the amount of games that have been played in very similar weather that's going on right now at the game. And they'll tell you the outcomes. It has nothing to do with who is pitching, who is hitting, doesn't get into that stuff. It's like they're all robots. Right. And in a 36-game sample, it's probably not the biggest sample. I prefer a bigger sample, but just worth noting, I suppose. And you can use your brain hole, and Roth will tell you too. 41 degrees as far as the weather. Heat is good for baseball. 41, not particularly great. The wind's blowing in 12 miles per hour in a 36-game sample. Runs took a hit. Actually, runs increased at 3%, which is interesting. But homers, which is this seems more like in line with how things should go down. Homers took a hit at 30%. Again, just a 36-game sample. We've seen Fenway rocking so far this year, in part because of the ballpark, in part probably because of who's been playing there. And, Boston, there's some interesting bats there. Of course, their arms are not spectacular. And I'm guessing you're not just going to cross that out, I don't think.
I'm doing the opposite, Dean.
Yeah.
I'm doing the opposite.
Yeah. You're embracing it. You love
I hope people, I'm hoping that the people look at the weather and go, I'm not going to play this game, because they're going to play. I don't see them not playing. It's not unless if they're not going to play. It's a 1:35 p.m. Eastern game. They would have postponed. Like, it's not going to rain enough. Like, it's going to be light rain at best, right? So like even Roth has it as green yellow.
Yeah.
So if we haven't heard, why have people even start coming out to the ballpark if they're not going to play this game? It's 2 hours to start time, so they're playing, and the game should be played the whole way through. And if people are going to look at this and go, I'm not sure. Will there be a delay? Is cold and whatever? Like, dude, on a slate where, like, it's not like we have a ton of great. It's Tampa Bay as an offense, maybe like Houston as an offense.
Always Houston.
Right, always Houston. Like, the totals aren't that big. And the Red Sox still have a 4.61 implied run total. I mean, it's like this. Remember, these totals and the projections already account for the weather.
Don't double count it.
Don't double count it. So, like, I've run 100 lineups in lineup HQ with the bat projections, just to look at 5-man stacks based on just pure median projection. And yes, Tampa comes up by far number one. I mean, it's like leaps and bounds. Number one, number 2 and 3 are the Red Sox and the Pirates. And this includes the weather in the projection. It already includes it. So the fact that the bat has Boston, Pittsburgh 2 and 3 from a median standpoint, and the ownership is going to probably be reduced there. Like, I don't mind that. This is all what DFS strategy is. Like, I hope I get lower ownership, because how do I get my path to first place? By the Rays failing. And when I mean failing, it doesn't mean score 0 runs. It just have the Rays not be the top stack. That's they score 6 runs and no one in their lineup has like 2 home runs or something. Like, it fails, right? And can I get Boston to put up 7-8 runs? Can I get Pittsburgh to put up some runs? I mean, like, the pricing is not we're not on a slate where pricing matters that much. So it's not like oh, well, the Boston lineup, you have to pay up for, $6,100 for Devers. It's like I got Tristan Cassis in the lineup for like $2,900, right? I got Connor Wong at $2,300. I mean, like, dude, I can fit anything I want, right? I probably end up playing, Devers in every Boston stack. I probably wouldn't play without him, but like, you could fit anything. Arroyo is 3,100. I mean, like, dude, you could fit the Red Sox in. And then the Pirates, outside of like Cruz and Reynolds, they're cheap. That bottom of the order is like what? Bay is 2,900. Sawinski's 2,500. I mean, you could fit anything you want there also. The ownership is going to be reduced. Why not give it a shot? It's if this was a slate where we had like 5 teams with 5+ totals, then I'd be like, okay, well, there's going to be some of those teams that are going to be under-owned. But really, you pretty much just have it's like the Rays and then everyone else. And the Astros have a 4.75 implied run total. Their lineup is way more expensive than anyone else's. I mean, like Peña's 51, Bregman's 52, Alvarez is 6K, Tucker's 5,500. It's like the run total is about the same. So why aren't I playing the Red Sox?
By the way, it's not so much the rain, the precipitation issue, like you said, green, yellow, but just, reading Roth's blurb, and he'll update this and things may change, but temperatures around 40 with a 10-mile-per-hour wind, making the wind chill value around freezing. So wet, cold, and breezy, ooh, is basically what Roth has to say. So, it's not ideal, but if that's what's going to force people away, and we'll see how that goes as far as ownership, I'm curious if that changes. Let's go back to pitchers, by the way. Let's settle that conversation because Corbin Burns was not good in his first outing. Are we just going to say Corbin Burns isn't good anymore? I saw some rumblings out there like he wasn't dealing well with the pitch count. I don't know. I just saw a blurb on that. I didn't watch that game, but of course he was pretty unspectacular opening day. His velocity was down a tick as well, for what it's worth. And again, that could be nothing. That could be something. I don't know how much I have to deal with him just because unless he's, top of the podium, there's so many other studs. McClanahan, and we talked about McClanahan, like he's awesome. And he's kind of like a pivot away from the 3 guys we talked about. And if he's the pivot, I'm thrilled to get more McClanahan in the field. Currently our projections, by the way, for what it's worth here, and let me give a refresh. Maybe this stuff kind of changed ownership-wise. Cole, Javier, and DeGrom. This is on DK. I'll check it on Fanduel as well, see if there's anything distinctly different. But, okay, it's changed a little bit. 43 to Cole, 32 to Javier, 31 to DeGrom. DeGrom could throw 85 pitches and strike out 12 and go, 6 innings. If he's 21%, I want to be over that. McClanahan at 17, 16, Cease at 15. I like Pablo Lopez, and you're getting a discount, but again, like you said, I don't know how much salary matters, but 7.4 seems too cheap for him. And there's Aaron Nola right there against the Yankees at 12%. Nola's not a 7.7 pitcher, right? But again, salary doesn't matter a ton, and there's guys that could just project better. How deep is your pitcher pool? And when you're going away from Cole, when you're going away from Javier or DeGrom, who's the first person you go to?
I mean, you could play any of these. Projection wise, I would say, just Cole 1, Javier 2. If anything, I'd probably be going to Nola. Probably Nola and McClanahan. Nola, McClanahan, maybe Cease. Maybe. He is. He's not. The salary doesn't matter anymore. So he had 9,100. He's probably a little bit overpriced in comparison to he's too close to Cole. But he could strike out 10 in a game. Outside of Cole and Javier, I think. And obviously, if you go down to Rodriguez, Grayson Rodriguez, it creates a whole different type of lineup for you.
You think you're going to do that?
What?
Do you think you're going to do that?
I will not be doing that. Remember, I'm only playing 3 GPP lineups.
If you're playing 20,
I probably have some. Grayson Rodriguez lineups. But in my 3 lineups, I don't need to spend up. It almost feels like if I play Grayson Rodriguez, I'm forced into playing the Astros stack. And I feel like the combinatorics of that are going to be similar. There will be a lot of Astros lineups that will have Grayson Rodriguez in them. And I'd rather not play that together. Right?
What about the Braves or Cardinals?
Maybe the Cardinals a little bit. I think the Astros more than any of the other ones. Cardinals, I guess, also, yes.
Because, or the Braves on the other side against Mikolas, Acuna's expensive, Olson's expensive, Riley's expensive. They get cheaper as you progressively move on. But
the Cardinals, to make the Cardinals stack, you got Burleson there, you got Gorman, you got I mean, other than Goldschmidt and Arenado, I mean, they're not that. You could play Cole and Javier and a Goldschmidt Arenado based Cardinal stack, no problem.
Yeah. Walker's really cheap. If you want to, a lot of people throw their catcher on their stacks. You can throw Kisner in there. Obviously, he's not very good, but anybody can sort of run into one. Producer Devin in chat, who was giving me a hard time about the thought of making a 4-man stack as opposed to a 5-man stack. Devin gave me the business. Hey, he does well at DFS and he does well at baseball. So maybe I should listen. How is David Peterson not getting more ownership? Is he not getting a long leash? Let me see what he is as far as. I think the problem is it's just the wrong slate for him, if nothing else.
The bat has him as a PPC of 94, so like he doesn't project horribly. He doesn't. He's there, right? I think it's more of what you said. It's just like on a slate with worse pitching, you'd be like, okay, David Peterson, no problem against the Brewers. But I mean, for his price, 7,200. Like, do you need that? Do you even need the money? Like, I'd rather play Pablo Lopez, but I mean, barely more than that. It's like I could get up to better pitching on that. I'll play Look, Nola's 7,700. I'll play him over Peterson, but I mean, Peterson's not bad. He's not bad. Like Luzardo, not bad. Cease, not bad. Burns, not bad. Logan Webb isn't awful, right? I mean, like,
and this is why we're all looking at the Rays, because like Corbin bad, like this good bucket, bad bucket. He's in the bad bucket. We're not sure about. He's probably going to be good at some point. We don't have no idea we're going to get opening day. By the way, I see what Devin's talking about as far as Peterson. I assume he's looking at the old the plate IQ here for Milwaukee. This Milwaukee lineup is really strikeout friendly against lefties. They're leading up with Brosseau. Brosseau last year, 108 appearances versus lefties, almost struck out 30% of the time. Willie Adames, 30% of the time. Yelich, 25% of the time. Contreras at 23. Voit at Voit at 36%. Anderson at 34%. There's a lot of Ks there. So I hear what he's saying. It's an interesting pivot. And what is his ownership? Like 10%, 5%? He's fine.
What are we talking about?
Peterson.
No, he'll be 3 to 5% owned, if that. From an ownership standpoint, I think that's fine. But I don't necessarily think you're winning on pitching today. I think there'll be a bunch of pitchers that score around 20 points, and as long as you have 2 of them, you're probably fine. It just comes down to bats. But yes, Peterson would be the type of pitcher that you'd play in the Rays lineup, right? Instead of going Cole Javier, you just go, it's like, I'm going to go Nola Peterson, Rays 5-man, and then find like some sub 10% 3-man or some sub 10% one-offs.
So that's one way to play the Rays. Just get a little different with the pitchers. And again, like play Peterson with the Rays. That's something you can do. I don't mind that. But I hear what you're saying. Like 12 points probably doesn't get it done. 14 points doesn't get it done. It's not like you're necessarily using that extra salary to get a couple extra homers, that kind of thing. I'll take a peek at Fanduel as well, Frederick. I didn't mean to ignore Fanduel. We'll kind of give a look here as far as ownership. Of course, Fanduel, the ownership will be different because you only get the roster 1. We're talking about 100 percentage points as opposed to 200 percentage points to divvy out. And what's really interesting over there is DeGrom. DeGrom is 9.9. He took a huge hit as far as a discount in price. Cole is 11.1. Cole's still the number 1 guy as far as getting ownership, 31.1%. DeGrom's second, though. He jumps ahead of Javier. Javier is more than DeGrom on FanDuel. On DK, he's like 1.5 less. But DeGrom, 9.9 on FanDuel, getting 16%. Javier, 11. McClanahan, 7. Pablo Lopez, distinctly more expensive on FanDuel. Therefore, he's getting only 6%. Cease at 6%. I bet Peterson's getting like nothing on FanDuel. Yeah, they added Grayson Rodriguez. FanDuel added them. Like I just saw the note this morning.
Do you even need him there? Do you need to use him there?
No. You got to get like top 2, top 3 pitcher on FanDuel, I think. And I don't know what's the path to Grayson Rodriguez being a top 3 pitcher today. It seems highly unlikely. I guess it's possible, I suppose. He went 4 innings in change, at least 4 innings or so on the AAA start 5 or 6 days ago. It wasn't very good. He wasn't very good in the spring. And again, I know he's a hugely hyped prospect. And I know he struck out a bunch of dudes last year in the minors. You just don't know what you're going to get when it comes to this stuff.
I mean, if he's not going to go 6 innings, you can't even get a quality start.
Yeah. There's no way I'll play him on FanDuel. It's not even like whatever the equivalent of 4K on Fanduel is, like DK 4K Fanduel, it's like 5.6 or something like that, maybe 6K. Yeah. McClanahan. Well, let's acknowledge his existence. I kind of mentioned him in passing a couple times. Is he somebody like on you're making 4 lineups, if I heard you correctly, right? Three
lineups for GPP, yes.
Okay. McClanahan, is there a decent chance he gets in one of those?
Possibly, yeah.
We haven't built anything yet. I haven't built anything either. I'll build it after the show. I have thoughts in my head, though, but I have not actually, put it together. So who do you think is going to be your most popular pitcher?
For me, Cole.
Oh, so you're embracing Cole, even though
remember, if I'm just Xing out the Rays, I feel like I'm just going to play the highest projected pitchers that fit into my lineup, and it is what it is. I mean, as long as the Rays don't become the top stack, especially if I'm playing Pittsburgh and Boston, right? Do I play Cole and Javier together? I don't know. I could if I'm playing the Pirates, right? So why not? But all of the pitchers, I just do not think that pitcher is going to be the way that you like. I mean, Cole can put up 28 points, be the highest scoring pitcher, put up 32 points. You may not even need him, right? Because you may have 2 pitchers that both have 24. To me, it's like it feels like if you could get 40 to 50 points at pitcher, there may be 7 pitchers that 2 of them combine for that. Yeah. So getting different is not would you rather have Cole at 40% with 26 points or Luzardo at 4% with 26 points? It's the same 26 points. I'm only gaining something if one
you got more salary though. Now you can spend up on some big bats that go 0 for 5.
Oh, right? Yes, that's exactly what I want to
do. I'm taking a peek at the Slate IQ. Somebody was asking in chat as far as the total ownership for the Rays. As of right now, we have it at 127%. Next is Boston at 95, 67 for Houston. Texas. Okay. I thought Texas was kind of the sneaky, what if this goes the wrong direction for Grayson Rodriguez? Who knows if he's ready? Who knows if he's not? You never really know how somebody's temperament going to their first game. For an MLB start. And there's some legit bats. Second base, by the way, is really, really weak today. It's terrible. So that's why Marcus Semien is one of my favorite tournament plays. I know you don't like to talk individual plays, but just as a lineup construction, have you looked at second base just as a thought process? You probably haven't.
Single position? When do I ever look at a single position?
I know, but just play along with me for a second.
Second base that bad?
Well, okay, so Isaac Paredes is going to be the punt that everybody goes to. I think 3.4K Paredes is drawing the start for Tampa. Marcus Semien is a little bit pricey, but you can get there. Solano leading off, not Solano, Brandon Donovan leading off today versus Elder. Elder, one of the more vulnerable pitchers today as well. And I like what Donovan's doing as far as joining Team Launch Angle, banging out some homers this year. Last year, he was more of just kind of a contact guy. I want the homers, so I'm okay playing some Brandon Donovan, but Bay was popping at least last night when I was making some.
Bay? You don't like my Bay?
I mean, I don't know. I'm sure your Bay is spectacular, but everybody's Bay on the Pittsburgh Pirates is, he's got a little speed. I think he had a homer the other day, but this isn't a great player. Arroyo's not spectacular. Estrada, Chang, Donovan. It's a weak overall position. It's just kind of the point I'm making, and you never really know who's going to separate themselves in the field. And it could be anybody. That's how baseball works. And if you say otherwise, I know who it's going to be. Albies getting a fairly low ownership, or Torres, not a ton of love either. But just as a general thought process, I thought second base was terrible. So that's why I like to spend up for Semien today, just kind of see how that works out leading off versus Rodriguez. He's also a guy that can steal a base, jack in a bag potential for sure. But tell me how you use the Slate IQ. Let the people know. I'm sure some people have premium. They don't know how to use it, how to best use it. The leverage tool in there as far as how often that this lineup or this team is going to be in the optimal lineup, and is it positive leverage or negative leverage? How would you describe? I'm sure it's just kind of stuff you dig into Monday through Friday. But if you can give a quick little minute or two on
Slate IQ is RotoGrinders simulation output tool, where the RG projections are fed in. The slate is played out 10,000 times, right? And 4 and 5 man stacks of each team are in all the lineups, right, that are, possible, I guess, or with select with the owner using the ownership, what would possibly be in the contest, and then how often is the stack in the best possible lineup, right, or the wins the GPP or whatever. So you get a percentage of like a 4+ man stack of X team shows up in the top lineup 8.8% of the time. And then next to it is the average ownership of the stack. The stack is going to be owned at 6.4%. So it's like, okay, well, it shows up, number one, 8% of the time, but it's going to be owned at 6, which means it's underowned. A stack could be like, oh, this is going to show up 10% of the time, but it's going to be owned at 16%, which means it's overowned. It could be the top stack. Like Tampa Bay could be the top most likely stack to be in the winning lineup, and it still may not be enough because it's going to be owned more than that. It could also be that Tampa Bay could have a 32% chance of being the top stack and only be owned at 26%, which means even though it's the top stack and the most chalky stack, it's actually underowned, right? So it's not about chalk and not chalk. I talk about this in the Theory of Daily Fantasy Sports, which you can pick up the 2 courses at theoryofdfs.com. 15-hour audio DFS masterclass in the first one. That's, the fundamentals. Then the advanced
15 hours wasn't enough. We needed a second, an updated version.
Yes, and the advanced course, which comes with my Excel tools that you could use that James McCall has developed. But I talk about that. It's not like chalk and not chalk are descriptors of like what's going to be owned. But from a strategic standpoint, you don't care about chalk. You care about underowned and overowned. How do you gain relative value? By playing underowned players. How do you lose relative value? By playing overowned players. But overowned players typically are high raw point players also. So it's not about just playing all underowned players, right? It's about getting the highest projection for the lowest ownership, right? That's essentially what DFS GPPs are. So looking at Slate IQ, you could see what's the highest projected stacks? What are their owned, right? Who's overowned, who's underowned? And then make your determination of, well, if I'm going to play an overowned stack, I should play an underowned pitcher. I should play an underowned 3-man with it. If I'm going to play an underowned stack, I can play an overowned pitcher, right? It's a balance of both. So you're just trying to build lineups that have a balance between projection and ownership. And that's why, like, if you want to play the Rays today, right, find a way the projection will be up here, but the ownership will be there also. So find a way to get lower ownership. Your projection will come down only to an acceptable point, and there you go. Right? Or you can do the opposite. You can say, okay, well, I'm not going to play the Rays. Well, I have to raise my projection because I'm not playing the highest projected stack. So I'm probably going to have to play Cole, Javier, some high-priced pitchers, right? A 3-man that, like, I'm not going to be playing the Phillies 5. I'm not going to play like the ultra leverage thing would be to, like, I'm going to play the Phillies 5-man with the Tigers 3-man. Right, the 2 lowest total teams against the 2 highest owned pitchers. It's like, your projection is going to be like 25 points lower than everyone else's. It's like, yes, you're going to get low ownership, but you could find low ownership without having to play the 2 worst teams on the slate. Like you don't need. Are you playing a 1,000,000 entry contest? Like a 1,000,000 entry contest, maybe you could play that lineup. But a 30,000, 40,000 person contest you don't need that much leverage. So it's basically the balance of the 2. Don't play the lowest projected lineups. Don't play the highest owned lineups. Once you cut out that top 10%, 15%, the bottom 10, 15% that you'll find in contests, anything in the middle is most likely going to be plus EV.
Estrada was scratched for the Giants. New lineup for the Giants is Wade, Conforto, VR, Peterson, Yastrzemski, Davis, Crawford, Sable, and Perez catching. What are you looking at? What are you seeing? Because I'll tell you something interesting is that we have DeGrom at 35% ownership here, which I don't know if that's – does that update, Blender? If I go to Slate IQ, like when our projections update on Lineup HQ, does it also –
Slate IQ would have to be run again. So you'd be looking at the time – whatever the timestamp on Slate IQ will determine that.
Okay, because that's what I thought, because I see a projection for 35% as far as DeGrom's ownership, and I thought it was lower than that. But what I think what's interesting is we have him projected to be on the winning lineup. The winner's going to have him 57% of the time. So That's kind of where I'm at. I think that whatever sort of hate DeGrom's getting on week 1, and I understand that there's a lot of good contemporaries today. It's not like it's DeGrom and everybody else and a bunch of guys that aren't very good. It's DeGrom and like here's 7 other aces, and you got to divvy the salary up. And I also understand that he's probably not going to throw 105 pitches, but I also understand DeGrom like is the greatest pitcher in the world when he's DeGrom. 42.7% strikeouts last year. That's an absurd number. It's insane. Cole at 32.4. That's elite. That's 10% less. Corbin Burns is 13% less. McClanahan 13% less. When DeGrom is on, like it's just, I'm going to be over that number if that's 20%. That just seems too low. What are you seeing? What is Slate IQ telling you? What are you looking at that kind of stands out that looks pretty interesting that maybe we haven't discussed just yet?
Well, I'm just looking at the bat ownership. As far as pitcher wise, I mean, the bat has DeGrom at 22% projected owned, which I don't think is. It's just. I think he has a chance of being the highest raw point pitcher, but I think his ceiling is capped. He's not gonna. I don't think he's gonna pitch 7+ innings. So like,
he can strike out 14 in like 5 innings.
I mean, he can't. Sure, yes, of course, but that's over an 80th percentile outcome. So, like,
sure, yeah.
Just from a like, is he likely to be one of the highest scoring pitchers on the slate? Yes, if you score 25 points, I think him and Cole have the best shot. I mean, they're the 2 highest. I mean, they're the highest raw point projected pitchers on the slate, right? So they're more likely to be in the winning lineup. I mean, like it's a self-fulfilling prophecy at that point. But I think DeGrom has, because of pitch count, has less of a shot at 35 plus than like Cole, Javier, Nola, Cease. I think McClanahan is a little bit capped also because he's not gonna pitch 110 pitches, right? Either.
No.
So like that's why like to me it's like, is DeGrom fadeable if he scores 24 points, which is what the bat projection on him is 23.47. If he scores around his mean projection, I don't think you don't need to have him unless obviously.
Let me ask you this, just for fun. Hypothetically, if I could tell you, you're getting 24 points, no more, no less. That's what you're getting for DeGrom. You're making 3 lineups. How many lineups has DeGrom for you?
0.
24 is not good enough. Like it's not going to burn you.
Because I could look at the pitchers on the slate. I could get 24 that I have multiple. It's not like it's like, oh, you either play DeGrom where it's like it's Patrick Corbin and the corpse of Dallas Keuchel out there or something. Like it's not one of those slates where it's like, oh, there's only 2 or 3 pitchers that if you told me if it was a slate like that, it's like, oh, I can guarantee you 25 points in 2 spots. 25, you get 50 a pitcher. I mean, dude, we've seen slates where it's like, I'll take that. I'll give it to me. Because everyone else is like, dude, I may not get 10 points out of some of these pitchers. This is not that type of slate. So, like, I don't think you need DeGrom. I don't think it's necessary. Can you play him? Sure, of course. I just think there's gonna be like 7 pitchers that put up 20 points on today's.
If you have the bat, by the way, what do you choose when you look as far as ownership stuff? Do you the MLB Plate IQ that comes with RG Premium, or the bat as far as projected ownership? I assume they're fairly similar, but I just noticed that
I use the bat ownership as my baseline.
Yeah, we have DeGrom on Fanduel at 12%, and the bat has it at like 17, which I don't know. If that's
DeGrom will be more owned on Fanduel, I think.
Well, no, because more owned percentage wise, or
more owned than his project. Then that's what I'm saying. It's like
okay, yeah, you roster 2 on DK, so it's really hard for him to be more owned. But I understand what you're saying,
right?
Yeah, that I kind of feel that way too. I think it'll be at least 20% or so on FanDuel. Hand builders, I think, unless you're overreacting to week 1, and week 1 again was just some like BABIP wonkiness, and he had his K stuff there, and I'm for sure going to play some DeGrom. I think he still has plenty of upside. By the way, he threw 73 pitches. The natural inclination doesn't always work this way, but generally when you're ramping yourself up, about 15 pitches or so. So, like, if he throws 88 pitches today, I'll take my chances for sure. Chat, feel free to.
He could be efficient. He could get 14 strikeouts. I'm not saying he can't.
Yeah, and the DeGrom number there is 12% on the RG premium, like 17, 18% as far as the bats and this stuff. The closer we get the lock, there will be refreshing, and they will finalize that number, and it becomes more precise the closer we get the lock, more accurate, I would say, as well. Join the conversation if you guys are hanging out in chat. We got Dave Potts, one of the greatest DFS players of all time, for real. Like, that's not hyperbole.
He's a Hall of Famer. He's a Hall of Famer.
Well, they'll put anybody in the Hall of Fame these days, right? I don't know.
They won't put Bonds in the Hall of Fame.
I saw somebody complaining about like the WWE Hall of Fame, and that's the people are. I'm sure I can.
Not even a real place. Doesn't actually exist. It's a figment of someone's imagination. Who cares?
Well, where is the Fantasy Sports Hall of Fame? Where does that? What city is that? I want to visit that with my family. Where do we go?
You got a point there. I guess it doesn't matter for cheese as well. Okay, you're right. I have to be consistent, right? If the WWE Hall of Fame doesn't matter, then a Fantasy Sports Hall of Fame doesn't matter. Then where would that reside? Where would we have the Fantasy Sports Hall of Fame?
Where would it be? Nashville, right? The home of RotoGrinders. I don't know. Where would it be? You'd think Vegas, but it's so bizarre and not worth getting into, like the politics of Vegas.
Fantasy sports there.
You can't play DFS in Vegas because there's one thing that you cannot do legally in Vegas, that's play DFS. And that's just so weird. But I don't know where it would be. I'm not really sure. I don't know where I don't know. I got nothing. Maybe the chat can help us out. Join the conversation, chat. Whatever you want us to talk about, we're happy to do so. Or at least I'm happy to do so. If it's a this guy or that guy question, I'll entertain it. Sure, why not? They're going to go around the horn. Well, Dave Potts, Cheese will go around the horn, as well as TJ Zwarych. You know him as the greatest DFS player in all of Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, Canada. And, of course, Roth. Roth will tell you what's going on as far as weather, if any sort of precipitation issues pop up, winds, things of that sort. He'll be on top of it, taking you guys straight up the lock. I believe they're coming in at around 12:20 or so. So we have plenty of time to still talk through some things. There's TJ. TJ hanging out in chat. The chat saying we should put it in Greenland. I don't know. Greenland is notorious for DFS players. I feel like they're not, or just fantasy sports. I don't think so. Isn't that like a marketing thing? Greenland's like ice and like Iceland's green. Like I don't
know if that's a marketing. I don't think that's a marketing thing.
They didn't want people like it's like, how do you get this place is beautiful. How do we get people not to show up and like ruin it? Let's go in Iceland. It's spectacular, but like it's kind of like the beach, that Leonardo DiCaprio movie. I won't spoil it for you. South Beach is another option. Sure, why not? Throw it on South Beach. That'll be good times. All right. Blender, stack wise, have you settled? Have you considered where you're at? Are you still debating?
To me, I'm playing 3 lineups. I will be playing a Pirate stack. I will be playing a Red Sox stack. And then maybe Minnesota, maybe the Brewers, maybe one of the two. The Brewers.
Why Minnesota?
What?
Talk me through Minnesota. There's some good pieces there, sure.
What am I talking through?
Well, I mean, why would you pick Minnesota?
Because they project well with the similar lineups to the Pirates and the Red Sox.
No Joey Gallo today, by the way, left on left. He's taking a seat. Joey Gallo pretty hot coming out the gates as far as banging out some homers. I believe he has 3 so far. Buxton is awesome on the road leading off. Luzardo's a good pitcher. And, like, here's the thing. Like, we're going to be talking baseball in a couple days, and this is like the 1s and some of the 5s kind of crossing over. When we get the 4, we would love, at least we would love the option to roster Jesus Luzardo like 2 days from today. Like, I haven't looked at the slate, but I feel like it's going to be a bad collection of pitchers. Ditto for Robertson. We're talking about as far as, Peterson, David Peterson. We're kind of neglecting him today just because the contemporaries, who are you up against? Who do you have to beat? It's a really, really tough pull. That's just how it's going. Luzardo's pretty good. The ballpark's pretty good. But you
got Solano and Jeffers that are really cheap, and then you can play like Buxton and Correa. What's wrong? I mean, like the whole thing is that if you're going to get different, I mean, who says Byron Buxton doesn't have a big game? I mean, like, yeah, Jesus Luzardo is a decent pitcher, but I mean, like, these are good players. Like, I want to play good players when they're low owned. Not and when I could play them because of the salary structure. It's like, dude, Buxton, Correa, yeah, 6,200, 5,700, but Solano, 2,400. Jeffers is 2,500. Miranda is 3,600. Right? You got, I mean, like, dude, like their lineup is cheap as hell outside of Buxton and Correa, so you can make that work. And then on the Brewers side, like you got Voit at 2,900, Brian Anderson at 3K. You got Brosseau leading off. Does he play the whole game? I'm not sure, but 2,200. Yeah. I mean, like, you got Yelich lefty that no one's going to touch, right? So you could throw him in. I mean, like,
he's kind of bad now. Like, he's lost, that back has caught up with him, I think. But yeah, you're right. Nobody's playing Yelich. 5K left on left, and like Yelich this is not your friend of 5 years ago, is Christian Yelich. He's fallen off pretty hard.
But I'm just, yeah. All I did was I ran 100 lineups with some amount of diversity, and yes, I'm getting a ton of the Rays. Yeah, I mean we've already talked about that. So it's like, what comes after that? And what I'm getting out of the bat is Pirates, Red Sox, Twins, Brewers as that stand out outside past the Rays, and then you get a little of all the other teams as well. But I mean, these are the teams that hit the cap that I've set. So obviously, lineup issue would have made more if it wasn't for the fact that I stopped them to.
TTID forever in chat's asking about Texas. I think Texas is interesting, if for no other reason. Like, no idea what we're going to get out of Grayson Rodriguez. No clue. And there's some professional hitters in that Texas lineup, and I think Texas is being mostly ignored. I mentioned Semien before. I'm going to have some Texas against Grayson, and I might roster a Grayson. I'm not really sure. I'm not playing a ton of lineups either like you. But Semien, Seager, Young is really cheap. Adalis Garcia, speed power combination. I'm fine with Nate Lau. The catcher situation's all right. I got Garver and Heim to pick from. I'm okay. I'm okay with Texas. We have some lineups coming out, by the way. Let's see. What just came out? Baltimore? Let's see. Baltimore lineup just popped. Is that? Why am I not seeing?
Yeah, the Baltimore lineup. Vavra's in the lineup. Not much has changed.
Let's see. Mullins, Rushman, Santander, Mountcastle, Henderson, Vavra, Hayes, Frazier, Mateo, and I believe we just got the A's. Yeah, I'm like, the A's aren't on the slate. Okay. I'm like looking, I'm like, I don't think I barely recognize the A's or acknowledge their existence, but I'm like, I don't think they're on this slate. They're not. They play at 3 o'clock, right? It gets cut off at 2:10, the last game, Detroit and Houston. Hunter Gaddis versus the A's. I'm sure there's like a showdown slate or something like that. Shohei pitches at 4 o'clock. Unfortunately, we're going to miss that as well. And Manoah later on tonight versus Kansas City. A couple of good pitchers still going. We got to save some of these guys for tomorrow for sure. Randy in chat is saying the White Sox are smashing today. Maybe they did lose Eloy, one of their big power bats, one in the IL. How do we feel about? I mean, I just don't like to stack against Logan Webb as a general rule because he just keeps the ball on the ground, doesn't give up homers, and unless he gets BABIP to death, which could happen. But I'm not playing. I'm not picking on Logan Webb. So it's an out for me. Are you in on the White Sox?
No, I ran 150 lineups with even less of a cap, just so I got more stacks in. In the top one, in 100, not even the top 150, just in the 150, I didn't get a single White Sox stack. Not saying that you can't play them. It's just that I still get number 1 Tampa, right? So I get the Rays 1, Pirates 2, Red Sox 3, Twins 4, Brewers 5, Astros 6, Giants 7. And that's when it caps out. And then it's just a mix of some other team. Then Cardinals and Braves after that.
Just as there's Winky in chat. I saw Winky before. I know he's a White Sox fan. He's probably got his White Sox stack working today. But just as a thought process, like the Braves and the Cardinals are really good offenses, and they're not facing elite pitchers. And the ballpark, as far as environment today, is like better than most. I feel like we're ignoring that game too much. 9 total. Cardinals almost
it's a price. It's a price, Dean. It's a price. It's
we can
less
make the price
to do
work though.
Well, I mean, look at the Braves. I mean, if you want to stack the Braves, you got like Acuna at 6,300, Olsen at 5K, Riley at 5,300. Like these are the teams. Like this is a team that you're going to be playing Grayson Rodriguez in, right? in order to
Or you're
get
playing like Jordan Walker. You're playing some of the cheaper guys on St. Louis.
Well, St. Louis, you have less of a problem, but the Braves, you have much more. Salary becomes an issue, much more than the Cardinals, only cause of Burleson and Walker. You got some cheap guys in there.
But I probably can. I haven't built it, but I probably can go like Lopez and let's see. And I like Pablo Lopez at 7.4K. I think he's perfectly fine. And you don't necessarily have to get on the 4K. You can, Lopez and Peterson, and you have 4 per stick. You can make that work.
You're sacrificing like 7 points in projection. 8. I mean, how much? If you're gonna play, let's see. If you're gonna, based on the back projections at least, if you're gonna play Lopez, Peterson, that would come out.
Lopez.
What?
Or Webb and Lopez.
Or Webb. Well, Webb's even worse. But let's say
Webb
Peterson, 16 and 18. That's 34. You got 35 points. Right, you're giving up 12 points in projection for doing that.
That's less than a home run, as somebody would say.
No, like, which is fine.
Acuna leads up the game, bangs out a homer, and now you're ahead of projections.
It's baseball. It's MLB. You could do it, yes.
Yeah.
But just understand that by changing the pitcher, you're hamstringing the. Now, if you play the Cardinals versus the Rays, now your lineup gets even lower. So, like, if you're going to do something like Pablo Lopez, David Peterson, and a Cardinal stack, or a Brave stack or something, like that would be a lineup where the other 3 players in your lineup may be Rays. Like play the highest projected 3-man outside of that, because now you're going to be 30 points lower projected. And now you're getting to the point where maybe it's not optimal to do
that. Do you care about such things as umpire data? I know the people
it's already in the projections, Dean.
Yeah, I know, but people like to hear it. There's the extremes. I like to mention the extremes. Extreme hitters umpire for Garrett Cole. That doesn't mean I'm not going to play Garrett Cole, but just there it is. Shane McClanahan's got an extreme pitchers umpire. So an extreme pitchers umpire for Patrick Corbin against the really, really chalky Rays. So when you're watching that game and you see Corbin gets the outside corner and a couple inches off and strike 3 on a Rosarina, they fully tilt that, I suppose. Extreme hitters umpire for Aaron Nola, of course, in the other side of that Garrett Cole game. Elder and Michaelis, extreme hitters umpire in that St. Louis game.
Are you going to respect your Elder?
I think Cheese made this joke in his article today as well. I'm not. I played a bunch of Cardinals yesterday. Did not work out for your boy, but I'm back. I love the Cardinals offense. The only tricky thing with their offense is it's almost too good, and there's going to be pinch hits on layaway if the situation calls for it. Kisner might get the hook for Contreras. O'Neill is not playing today, although I think the manager was upset about him yesterday, kind of saying he was not hustling. I don't know if he's going to get. I don't know if that's the reason why he's not playing today or was playing day game after night game. A lot of times you get a different shuffle, but there's some really, really good pieces in the St. Louis team. It's almost too good, right? But I like the Cardinals. I'm going to play them more than most, and probably every single day, and especially now when it's not, the other ballparks are not catching up, and it's not 100 degrees in Atlanta, and 99 in New York, and it's 70 in St. Louis, and the ballpark's not great. It plays fair or even positive for pitchers. This ballpark is as best it's going to be this time of year as far as hitters in St. Louis when you compare it to the other options where it's 40 degrees in Fenway. So I'm going to play some Cardinals. I'm going to pick on Elder for sure, and I don't mind. I was going to say stacking. I know game stack is obviously not a baseball that you want to tilt Cheese. Mention the game stack to him, and you stack the game in cores because like the hitting environment's spectacular and yada yada. You don't stack it because there's necessarily correlation unless you think there's going to be extra innings or something like that. You really can't predict such things. We still have 6 minutes here, Blender, until we hand it off.
No, we got a minute. We got the Cheese is here.
Oh, I thought it was. Did I get the wrong time? I thought it was 12:20. I guess I misread it. My apologies. What's up, Dave? Cheese, you're with us? I don't see Cheese.
I can add him. There you go.
Well, I didn't know that.
When he said he's there, I don't think I was there, but I think I'm here.
I could disappear you if you want.
Blender can see what is officially called backstage. Just pretty exciting. Pretty exciting that we have a backstage. Yes, Blender and I are both familiar with backstage.
Right. No. I've StreamYard admin access, so I could shut down the program if I want. I could add anything. I could change. I could probably draw a little mustache
You're in
on your
charge.
page.
This is no good.
I thought producer Steve was running the ship. Also, backstage, you're thinking like the green room kind of thing. You guys are both musicians. Of course, Dave Potts. Everybody knows about Dave Potts' musical prowess.
I said no. I have to ask the question because you introduced Cheese, and I said he's a Hall of Famer, and you downplayed the Fantasy Sports Hall of Fame. I was like, that's like the WWE Hall of Fame because it doesn't exist anyplace. So Dave,
don't paint it that way. I was not besmirching. I touted Dave. It was like the greatest DFS player.
Fame, what existed? Where would it be located?
Well, it would have to be in Buffalo, where rotisserie baseball came from.
Oh, there you go.
Isn't that New York?
Good answer.
Buffalo, New York.
No,
Yes.
New York. La Rotisserie, the French
Yes,
restaurant.
I believe it is. It was the first draft was in New York, as far as I know. Yes. What was the place called? I think that's
La Rotisserie. That's why it's called Rotisserie Baseball.
An Italian place?
See, I know my history.
It sounds very French. It sounds French to me.
Me and Cheese go back really back in fantasy baseball when you had to get the USA Today on like Tuesdays to update your stats, or they'd mail them to you, and then you had an answering machine from your secretary of your league that would have to check it like Wednesday morning for all the transactions. And you remember those days, Cheese?
There was nothing better than having to make a phone call to like make your lineup changes. Yeah, those were the good times.
There's no CSV downloads, no.
Right. Yeah, I'm gonna start calling Dean every Sunday night when I'm making roster moves in my NFPC teams. Be like, I've got these drops for you. Yeah.
There was this site called CDM Sports. Do you remember CDM Sports?
Yeah, of course. The Diamond Challenge. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. I think I might have been underage playing in that, if I remember correctly. But I did play in that. I did fairly well, like 25-team leagues or 50-team leagues. And you were in 25-team leagues, and like there was 10 leagues in a division. I think it was a lot of, and they were kind of like
two overall. It was like these growing overall on top of overall league. Like your leagues got bigger and bigger, and that was fun. Yeah.
And the thing is, it would update like every Wednesday or something like that. It would give your recent stats. Like there was no internet. I guess if there wasn't, there was no access. I feel like this is such a back in my day, but like I was so excited to open up the letter to see where I was at in the standings, stats that accumulated 3 days ago, because it takes a couple days for the mail to show up. And that's it's a simple pleasure in life. Yeah. It's no longer a thing.
CDM was one of the sites that sort of they stayed around once the internet happened. And like kind of had to catch up. And then, so people that were playing it were used to getting in the mail. And all of a sudden you're like, I can just look at this on my computer. I don't understand what's happening. We are from the future.
Eventually there was a transition where like they said, yeah, now we have a site. It's like, oh, wow, this is amazing. Yeah. All right.
Alex in the chat, by the way, says he had to call in and pay for every transaction with his mom's credit card.
That's
probably because
awesome.
It's like long distance calls. I don't know.
They had a league you could enter where you paid per transaction.
Okay, gotcha. Hilarious.
The big utility that I wanted back then, like in maybe the mid 90s, was when I saw that they came out with the sports beeper. If you remember that, this is beeper. This is before cell phones. So instead of a beeper that just obviously, you put in someone's phone, anyone under the age of like 35 has no clue what I'm even talking about. But there was ESPN would promote this sports beeper where they would send the scores of the games, the baseball games, directly to you.
Yes.
Obviously, it's like, well, why aren't you just why don't you just check? Like, well, there's nothing to check. Like, either you had to look at the ESPN ticker on the bottom to go like, oh, what is happening in the Blue Jays game? Because how else if ESPN doesn't have it on, like you would never know. So
the ticker would only come on. Blender, the ticker would only come on like 28 minutes after the hour and 58 minutes after the hour. It wasn't a constant stream. So you have to catch it at the right time. There was a time like they would give you like, here's a surprise. We'll tell you what's going on in the scores 2 times an hour. It's technology. It's wild. It's
now when FanDuel live scoring is down for about like 40 seconds, like Twitter explodes. Right.
This is how I know that I've made it, because the utility that Blender wanted in the mid 90s was a sports beeper, but the utilities I wanted in the mid 90s are now all behind me right now. So I feel like I've made it in life.
You have.
I was like 3 and 5 years old maybe, but now they're all behind me.
I was going to say a lot of this might have happened before TJ was born. Like it's possible.
Yeah, some of it did. Yeah.
And in chat, GR Sauce says, guys, I know some quality retirement homes I can recommend. We're aging ourselves to our viewers a little bit, guys.
All right. Yeah, I feel like the Steve, if producer Steve can drop the Steve Buscemi gift, when he's in high school with the skateboard over his shoulder, that'll work perfectly
fellow
for this
kids.
Conversation. What's up, my fellow kids? What's up? Blender, we got anything else before we step aside and make way for crunch time?
No, other than Eduardo Rodriguez under 17.5 pitching outs on Prize Picks. I don't know. I still don't understand. I've gotten some, like the Hunter Green one went down. The strong. I got so much, like they've gone down. All the ones that I mentioned before, like gone. Does someone know something about Eduardo Rodriguez? Cheese. Has Eduardo Rodriguez ever pitched 6 innings without like 18 pitches per at bat?
It was pretty rare when he was at his best. It happened still pretty rarely.
Right.
Yeah,
So
that's not his thing.
Right. Even Will has tweeted out Eduardo Rodriguez 17.5 pitching outs under. So yeah. So
he moves the needle. So you got to get it.
I've already maxed. I can't do anymore. I've already maxed it out. So doesn't matter to me.
I'm going to try to get it now, but I'm sure it's going to move as I'm clicking it. But myself and Blender do thank you for watching the first portion of the Crunch Time. They're going to take you home here, all the way up the lock. It's TJ Zwarych. It's Kevin Roth. It's Hall of Famer. Well respect. The Hall of Fame, when you power rank Hall of Fames. There's no Hall of Fame higher than the Fantasy Baseball Hall of Fame. It's the State Pots. Yeah. All right. Take it away, Roth.
Good stuff, as always. Excellent work. Hey, we got to talk about the slate before we even get into the fancies. Cheese, is this Cincinnati game on the slate?
No.
Oh, thank you, Jesus. That's great. That's good news. It's not on any slate.
Yeah, it's just like a standalone game.
Okay.
So
that makes me feel a lot better because there's storms coming late, but now there's also storms early. Like, I'm not going to dive into it now because it's not on the slate and nobody cares.
We don't care, but I'm glad that you spent a bunch of time looking at it.
I'm over here sweating looking at the radar in Cincinnati, and I don't need it. Okay, with that out of the way.
You're sweating looking at the radar, and all you had to do was just open DraftKings and look at the slate instead.
But there's like so many slates. Is it the DraftKings, this slate, then that slate, then Fanduel, this slate, then that? I don't know. I just asked Cheese. Doesn't matter. That's the easier way to do it. Hey, welcome to it, ladies and gentlemen. This is Crunch Time. It is free. It is sponsored by Fanduel. So go ahead, give us that thumbs up for the free show. And it is the show where we are joined by two of the sharpest minds in the biz. We got one, Mr. Dave Potts, a.k.a. Cheeseisgood. The man so nice, he won the Millie twice. I think. He doesn't remember. He thinks so. What's up, Cheese?
Not much. It was an early day. Got a bunch of games. And goodness, oh my, we got pitchers for you, Kevin. I know.
We do. We got good pitchers.
A lot of them. Yeah.
So many of them.
Do we have cheap good pitchers, or
we have
expensive?
A flat out minimum priced best pitching prospect in baseball for $4,000 on DJ.
Well, I'm playing this slate. Yeah, I can't say no to that. So I'm excited about it. Hey, we got TJ in as well. TJ going to help us out, walk us through some of the baseball. TJ, how you feeling?
Feeling very good. I was on the morning grind with Stevie already, so I'm feeling really prepped and ready to go for this slate. This is my first show with Cheese of the year. I'm excited. I miss them. Cheese, you look great. I'm happy to be on here.
I do look great. You're right about that.
You do. It's undoubtedly the best looking guy at RG, except for maybe producer Rob. But outside of that, I'm ready to dive into this slate. I love daytime baseball. So many pitchings, it's obscene. I'm taking like a strategy in tournaments in an MME type setting that I almost never take. And it's cool, and I'm excited about it.
Okay, well, I'm excited to hear about it. True story, Cheese has not aged in 10 years. Cheese, you look the exact same.
I looked horrible 10 years ago, though.
What was the other thing I wanted to say? I forgot. That's not helpful. All right. It'll come to me and then I'll tell you, but it wasn't very important. Let's talk about this slate. Before we do, we should probably shout out our wonderful sponsor, FanDuel. Sign up for the FanDuel Sportsbook for your legal sports betting state. Take advantage of their awesome bonus offer. New customers get the no sweat first bet up to $1,000. Terms and conditions apply. Offer not available in Massachusetts, because if you're in Massachusetts, you get the offer of bet $5, get 200 in bonus bets. A couple of very good offers going on there. TJ, what I was going to say is, are you running the trifecta? Because we've got crunch time for basketball tonight. So you coming back?
Very good chance I'm going to be coming back in the Andy Means role today for NBA Crunch Time. I do have to. My wife has a eye appointment where her pupils are being dilated, so I have to drive her. So 90% chance I'll be back in time before the show, ready to go. But gonna have a backup for just in case something happens that I can't.
I like it. I approve. You're doing God's work, man. Helping out the wife and helping out the DFS players as well. Cheese, let's dive into the slate. Let's talk about it in general or pitchers. I like starting with pitchers.
Yeah, like the in general is about the pitchers. Like the top tier bats are really, they wouldn't have even registered as plays yesterday. So let's just talk about the pitching. So on FanDuel, I'm going to say just play an ace, with an ace to me being Cole, Javier, DeGrom, McClanahan, Cease, Pause. I'm going to call those 5 my aces. I'm still fine with Aaron Nola. I still think Corbin Burns is probably going to be okay, but I don't think we need to trust him yet in this matchup. And then we're going to talk a bunch about Grayson Rodriguez on DK. But on FanDuel, where he's 7,500, like it's fine. But you don't need the salary that bad when you got like DeGrom at 9,900 and Javier at 10K. To me, I think you play one of those top aces in most of your FanDuel lineups. And I've got those 5, and I can spread them out even further, where I'm going to move Cease down just a bit. So to me, Cole, DeGrom, Javier, and McClanahan, that's my top 4, particularly on FanDuel. And where Cole is priced up the highest at 11-1, I don't really like him any better than DeGrom and Javier to begin with. And they're $1,000 cheaper. So that's my top 2, DeGrom, Javier on FanDuel. Jumping over to the DraftKings side, it gets wonky because Grayson Rodriguez is $4,000. It's his first start ever in the majors. We have no idea. And his first minor league start this year was unusually bad for him. Like, if you look at last year, he was just lights out, ridiculous. But really, he should be a $7,000 pitcher today. The issue is you don't desperately need that salary because the top bats are in tough spots. So, like last night, I would have probably had 80% Grayson Rodriguez. Today, it's more like 30% because I just don't need him. I'm also more interested in Nola on DraftKings because he's only 7,700. But I much prefer Javier, as probably does everyone, at 8,100. And I think DeGrom is going drastically overlooked. That's my opinion. I don't know for sure where the ownership's going to land, but I think we might see something like double Cole versus DeGrom. And to me, DeGrom is still the better pitcher. I slightly prefer the matchup for Cole, but straight up, I have DeGrom more than Cole in my lineups.
Okay.
And I'm not messing with anything in the mid tier. I mean, I have nothing against like Luzardo and Pablo Lopez. Like, those guys are fine. Like, on a lot of slates, they'd be great. But today, I just don't need them at all.
Alex wants to know what you think DeGrom's pitch count is going to be. Is he limited?
I personally do not believe he is limited now.
Okay.
I mean, my guess is Texas is not going to. They're going to kind of pitch count him all year. Like, I think he's 85 to 90. I don't think he's going 100 at all. But I think he has 85 to 90, which is plenty.
Okay. You said you're not going down in the middle, but
yeah, and that's just a guess, by the way, on the pitch count.
Yeah. Did you talk about the cheap guys here? I'm sorry, I was like,
Grayson Rodriguez. That's it.
Okay.
Because he's 4K, and the other cheap guys are 7K, and not any better.
Right, don't be silly. Yeah. All right. TJ, what are we doing here pitcher-wise? Your turn.
So I'm going to start out on Fanduel, and in tournaments today, I don't think you need to go, like if you're running 150 lineups, I would expand a little bit, but I don't think you need to go lower than like a David Peterson at 8,500. If he hits a ceiling game, he could be decent there. Maybe a little Luzardo, Lopez, Nola, I'm going to take shots on, and of course all the aces that Cheese mentioned. But Jacob deGrom coming in at sub 20% ownership on Fanduel is at like a $1,200 discount that from Cole. Like, it's stupid. It's literally, if you wanted to just play 150 lineups today with Jacob deGrom in every one because of how dumb the field is being not getting him tomorrow, I wouldn't blame you. Like, there are tons of amazing pitchers on FanDuel, but that ownership and that price tag is just wild. Like, I like him on DraftKings as well, but he's $2,000 more expensive than, or $1,600 more expensive than Javier on DraftKings, and $100 cheaper than him on FanDuel. And pitching is a lot tighter on FanDuel. So DeGrom's FanDuel price tag is by far my favorite. If I'm playing a single entry, that is without a doubt the one that I'm going to. I was going to say Stevie and I talked about this, but it was just Stevie. He's the one who noted this on the morning grind, that like in DeGrom's first game, his BABIP was 555. Like basically everything.
And he didn't get hit hard at all.
Yeah, like everything that got hit just found a spot, and that is why that the numbers didn't look great, even though the strikeouts still looked good. His fastball was good, averaged 98.5 on his fastball. So DeGrom on FanDuel is by far my favorite play. But if you do want to differentiate to those different ones, I do understand it. Now on DraftKings, where the pricing is more spread out, there are cheap guys. I am messing around in this mid-tier in MMEs just because I think these guys like Pablo Lopez, Aaron Nola, Logan Webb, like I really do feel like they got a similar ceiling to some of these aces today, and some of them aren't picking up very much ownership. So weirdly enough, I'm finding like what I typically do on a slate this size is find 5 to 10 pitchers, get probably 15 stacks that I'm at least getting some exposure to. And the team I'm going to stack the most on a slate is probably like 15 to 20%. On this slate, I have, hold on, how many pitchers do I have in my pool today on DraftKings? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 pitchers in my pool on DraftKings, and I'm honing in on like 6 stacks. I think I have 11 total stacks in my pool, but some of them are just I'm playing 50 lineups today, and some of them I'm just getting like a Baltimore, I'm just getting like a 1 or 2 lineups in, but I'm focusing on like 5 stacks mainly, and then just differentiating my pitchers. Garrett Cole, Jacob deGrom, and Grayson Rodriguez are the only 3 that I'm getting to over 30% today on DraftKings. And then from there, I'm just trying to mix in about 15 to 20% of McClanahan, Nola, Pablo Lopez, Logan Webb, Dylan Cease, Christian Javier. And then I just have a small amount of sprinkles of Luzardo, Corbin Burns, and David Peterson as well, just because Peterson's projecting really well in the bats, and the other 2 have really good ceilings. So it's more of a just in case thing.
So you think those other pitchers, the reason you're going so deep here is you think those guys have the upside of a Cole, Javier, or whoever your main core was?
Yeah, like maybe not, like they don't necessarily have the same ceiling as Garrett Cole and Jacob deGrom do, but if Jacob deGrom and Garrett Cole just have a regular 25 to 30 point game, those guys could potentially outscore them at a lower price tag.
Okay, very good. Let's talk some bats. TJ, you want to roll it into that? You said you have a more condensed, stacks. So what are some of your favorites?
So there are 7 teams today that I'm actually getting to at over 10%, but my favorite is going to be the Rays. I think that's likely going to be the field's favorite as well. I'm getting to a ton of Atlanta today. They're projecting really well in the bat, and I like them as a stack. So the Rays, the Braves, Boston Red Sox, St. Louis Cardinals, Houston Astros, Pirates, and Rangers. And that's kind of how I rank them in that order, is Rays 1 all the way down to the Rangers at the bottom. And then the last 4 teams I'm just trying to get a little bit of exposure to are Minnesota, the Mets, Baltimore, just because they've been hitting the ball so well this year, like just in case. Then I got a couple Milwaukee stacks here as well. So that's kind of where I'm differentiating it. But Tampa Bay is going to be my favorite, followed by Atlanta as number 2. And then St. Louis, Pittsburgh, Boston, and the Rangers are all kind of like a tied for tier 3 for me.
Gotcha. All right. Cheese, you want to talk some bats?
Yeah, not too much different at all. Tampa is definitely the chalk, and really probably the only chalk. I think after them, we'll get a couple of individual bats that are kind of chalky, but as a stack, I think Tampa is the only thing that's super popular.
Mm-hmm.
But the good thing about them is you can spread out all over the place. Like it's just one of those lineups that's deep. Even the nonsense sounding guys. I mean, Taylor Walls, I kind of don't like much. But even him, like you can play all 9 players. So even though they're chalk, it's fine. I agree. Next for me is also both sides of that Braves Cardinals game. I like the Brewers a lot more than TJ does. I also
that's literally the one team I was looking at and going, damn, I think I'd like getting more Brewer stacks than I have, but I'm going to leave it. And then you just said that. Now I went, well, I can't leave it now.
The other game that I don't really like, but I kind of like, is the Giants White Sox. 2 really good pitchers. And Dylan Cease was awesome in his first start. And if that Dylan Cease shows up, then they just get shut out and whoop-de-doo. But last year's Dylan Cease would just simply walk every single one of these guys, and then they'd hit a bunch of homers. And I'm stacking the Giants.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else you want to throw in?
No, other than to say I have at least 2 stacks of every team on the slate, and that includes the Detroit Tigers.
Okay, so you're kind of going the opposite way TJ is. Is that fair? More condensed pitchers and more spread out on the bats.
That is correct.
Interesting. Okay, very good. Let's go position by position. And Cheese, we can either start on just FanDuel, or we can kind of do a FanDuel DK blend all the way through.
We can combine them because the salaries are not a huge issue. So you can kind of play whoever, even if they're more expensive on one than the other.
Okay, let's do it. Let's start at catcher and or catcher first base for FanDuel.
Yeah. So catcher first on DK. William Contreras and Travis d'Arnaud are the top plays. Don't forget about Adley Rutschman. TJ mentioned the Orioles in passing. The thing I wrote about them in the musings, and I kind of stick with, is DeGrom can throw 5 no-hit innings with 17 strikeouts. Not really based on math, but I would still be interested in the Orioles for 4 innings against the Texas bullpen. I really would. My favorite cheap guy by far is Salazar for Houston. Like every random guy that comes up for Houston is just great, and he looks good to me for 2K. I'm also fine with Ryan Jeffers as a punt.
Okay.
And don't love any of those guys on FanDuel. I mean, Contreras is okay, but FanDuel, I'm more using actual first baseman.
Okay. TJ? Little catcher talk.
Guy I like the best. I like the William Contreras call as well. The guy I like the best for tournaments today is probably going to be Travis d'Arnaud at 4K. He keeps hitting cleanup in this amazing lineup. And so I really like getting to Travis d'Arnaud consistently until his price gets up there a little bit. I like the Rutschman call as a one-off. Outside of that, I'm mostly just putting guys in stacks. I don't mind Jeffers. I like Salazar as well, and I'm going to be getting to a lot of Houston stacks. So I don't see myself really getting to any catcher today outside of a stack, if I'm being honest. I'm most likely going to limit it to that.
Okay. Then take me to first base, TJ.
At the first base position, the one I'm getting to the most is going to be Yandy Diaz at almost 30%. And then from there, it's a whole bunch of guys kind of in the 10% range. Paul Goldschmidt's going to be my second highest owned first baseman today. Tristan Cassis, Matt Olson, Nathaniel Lowe, all guys that I really like. I did just get myself some more Brewers in this latest build. So Jose Abreu and Luke Voit are my next 2 highest owned first basemen there, with Voit coming in a little bit above Abreu as well.
Cheese?
Goldschmidt and Olsen, far and away my 2 favorites. As far as like a mid-range cash game type play, definitely Yandy Diaz, like TJ said. He's just too cheap for leading off for Tampa. And then I'm kind of making sure in most lineups I want one stud hitter against an ace pitcher. with Pete Alonso will be the guy at first. And then on the DK side, we have a bunch of first base outfield eligible. We got Giants, Wade and Peterson, and then Harold Ramirez for Tampa as well.
Okay. I think take me to second base, but I'm honestly tweeting weather things, so just do you for a little bit.
Yeah, so second base, as always, like this is just where nothing happens. This position is terrible now. It'll be terrible tomorrow, and the next day it's terrible. Albies is my favorite guy, but it's not like he's fantastic. Like he's the guy I'm mostly playing. On DK, we do have Paredes at second, and he'll be the heavy chalk there at 3,400, which I'm good with. But I don't love a chalk one-off Paredes. Like that just sounds kind of funky.
He also got pitch hit for when a righty came in already this season.
We don't know what they're going to do. Like Tampa's one of those teams. They're not as bad as the Giants, but they have a lot of moving pieces. So yeah, you don't know. I guess mostly as usual, I'm just playing a guy in a stack, other than Albies, and then just looking for something cheap. I'm not going to pretend to make up something being good that's not good.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm in a similar boat. I'm playing a bunch of like cheap guys in stacks that I don't really like. I'm getting to Gleyber Torres as a one-off just because he's hitting the ball well early in the year. Maybe he's made some changes that'll help him this year. Brendan Donovan is actually my highest owned second baseman today. I like his price tag. I like his price tag there for the Cardinals. And so Brendan Donovan, Ozzie Albies, Paredes, and Semien are my 4 highest owned guys. And then from there, outside of Torres and a couple lineups, it's just guys in a stack. I do want to say, though, we gotta do a better job hitting this like button here. There's almost 400 people watching now. I'm going to give my first Spidey Bomb at 125 likes. It's a slow start, but not a bad start. We're 1 for 5 in terms of actually hitting home runs. But we're not having any bad days. Like guys are still going out there getting hits, getting RBIs, getting runs. And so hit that like button. 125 likes for the first Spidey Bomb. We'll see where things go from there. The Spidey Bombs always hit when Cheese is on the show too. Cheese is just such
I don't remember one ever missing, honestly.
Exactly. It's just like they're always locked in when Cheese is on the show. Spidey always brings his A game for Cheese. And so make sure you hit the like button. And in terms of third base,
do we have the Spidey Bomb graphic? I don't know if you saw the beautiful Spidey
Steve's
Bomb.
ready.
It's so good.
So good.
Look at that.
Spidey Bomb graphic is ready. We got straight from the baseball game, straight from the comic panel. Steve added the bomb with the RG logo. We got the Agents of Fandom logo on the hat. Just top tier stuff. So make sure, get us up to 125 likes for that first Spidey Bomb. At third baseman today, I guess I should have kind of prefaced this at the first base position when I said Yandy Diaz is my highest owned. He's my highest owned between first and third base. I'm getting to more of him because he's eligible at both of these positions. And then from like my highest owned just individual third baseman is Rafael Devers. I like Nolan Gorman a lot today. Paredes is somebody you can play here as well. And then the only other guy that I'm getting to in abundance is going to be Austin Riley. After that, I'm just mixing some guys in stacks: Arenado, Ke'Bryan Hayes, Alex Bregman, Mike Brosseau, Jose Miranda.
Okay, Cheese, third base.
Yeah, I mean, he named the names there. Like third base is everything that second base wishes it could be. Devers, Riley, Arenado are my top 3, followed by Bregman and Miranda. Diaz, I actually like him better at first, just I think third base is a little stronger overall. Like other than Goldschmidt kind of fits in that Devers, Riley category. But anyway, I'm fine with him either way. And again, so Mike Brosseau, who TJ mentions, is another guy who's definitely a pinch hit risk, but we don't know. And he'll get a couple at bats leading off, and he's free, so he's fine.
Okay, you want to take a shortstop?
You know that I do. I do. Shortstop, another pretty much always good position. And some of these guys are capable of playing second base, so I think I'm going to send some texts and see what we can do. I love Willy Adames. I love the Carlos Correa play on FanDuel at his price. Like with Adames and Correa both at 2,900 and 3,000, I don't think you have to spend up. Like O'Neal Cruz and Wander Franco will probably still be the chalk, but I like Adames and Correa just as much at the discount. On the DK side, Franco is cheaper, so he's a little more useful there. I'm also going to play Corey Seager is the main Texas bat I'll play against Rodriguez. I'll have a couple just in case stacks, but if I'm picking a guy out, it'll be Seager at shortstop.
Very good. TJ, you want to walk us through a little short?
So this is the position where I probably have the biggest ownership disparity between my highest owned and next. And so Wander Franco on DraftKings, I have in 35% of my lineups. And then it does make me feel better that Cheese likes the next two guys that are my next two highest owned here, and they're Corey Seager and Willie Adames. Outside of those three, and maybe a little O'Neal Cruz as a one-off, it's just stacks for me. And so Tommy Edman, Orlando Arcia, a little bit of Francisco Lindor, a little bit of Carlos Correa, and then a couple bottom of the barrel guys. Oh, and of course Jeremy Pena leading off, and then a couple bottom of the barrel guys in stacks like a Yu Chang and Jorge Mateo and Arcia and Edman.
Okay, you get to take us to the outfield where usually we do a little spending up and a little bottom of the barrel. What do you like?
A little bit of both, and that's exactly what we got today. In terms of spend ups, I'm kind of prioritizing them. Number 1, Randy Arozarena. Number 2, Yordan Alvarez, and number 3, Ronald Acuna. That's who I have the most in terms of spend ups. And then in the tier a little bit below in terms of pricing, I got a lot of Yoshida and Brian Reynolds as well. Brian Reynolds has just been hammering the baseball to start the season. Seems like every second at bat's been a home run for him. And then I'm getting a lot of the solid mid-tier batters and stacks, like a Michael Harris, Adolis Garcia, Kyle Tucker. Of course, you can always play Aaron Judge. And then the cheapies that I'm getting the most of is Alec Burleson. I have almost 20% of. Jose Siri, a little bit of Harold Ramirez, who also has pinch hit risk. And then Jack Sawinski for Pittsburgh is one of my favorites as well.
Geez, outfield.
This is where I guess the pricing is pretty different. Where on FanDuel, it's not hard at all to fit Rosarena and Reynolds, are probably my two favorite, not quite all the way spend ups, but pretty much spend ups. On the DK side, the reason I don't need Grayson Rodriguez in every lineup is just because, Buxton has a tough matchup. Judge has a tough matchup. Alvarez and Tucker, I like them, but it's still lefty-lefty. I like Acuna, but it's still not a bad pitcher. These super best guys are not must plays. I still like them. I would still call Acuna and Alvarez probably my two favorites, I guess. But I like Arozarena and Reynolds pretty much as much. Mm-hmm. I like, other than Michael Harris, I pretty much like the super cheap stuff just as much as I like the mid-tier on DraftKings. On the FanDuel side, as usual, the guys who are right around 3K or even down to 2,700 are just really good. So I don't think you need to go bargain shopping there. Where's my little list here? Jose Siri. I can't read my own handwriting. It's truly amazing. Houston's Jolks, I'm going to keep playing until he starts homering a bunch. Harold Ramirez is cheap. Sawinski, who TJ mentioned, is a fine play. There's Ozuna. It's just, there's so many power type bats that I like as much as anything that's around 4K.
Okay. We got bats, we got pitchers, we got stacks. TJ, how close are we to a little Spidey Bomb action?
We got 16 more likes for Spidey Bomb, so let's hit the likes. We're so close. All you got to do is take your mouse, slide it over, hit the like button. You're watching on your phone, click hide chat, then you get to hit the like button right there. So 16 more likes, and then we got some Spidey Bomb action.
I think your Spidey Bomb is the dude who you said has been beating the cover off the ball and has a home run in seemingly every other game. Was that your Spidey Bomb call?
I mean, to be honest, he was in the range of people we were going to choose depending on how many we got, but I feel like I can't choose him now because you called it.
Yeah, I could tell the way you were talking about him. I was like, that sounds like a Spidey bomb guy. So now you got to figure out somebody else. And if he hits the Spidey bomb, then it's a Roth bomb. Then I get credit for it. So it's a.
I can't wait for that logo.
Yeah, yeah, we need a weather bomb logo. I like that. All right, hey, let's take some QQs. We'll take them.
Thor with some lightning. I like it.
There's a lot we could do. Yeah, I feel like there's something to be done there. Let's take some QQs. We'll take as many as we can get, and if we run out of them, we'll say goodbye. That's pretty much the game plan here. Let's see what we got. As always, I am starting in the old RG Discord. Fanduel GPP. We got back-to-back questions from Mike. I'll take them both. I'm taking DeGrom Cheese in the Fanduel GPP. I'm taking DeGrom along with a Texas stack for the win against the rookie. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, as much as I like Grayson Rodriguez, and he's definitely going to be an ace, we don't know this can be today. So, I mean, yeah, I'm fine with the Texas stack and for sure with DeGrom, yes.
Mike says, FanDuel GPP game theory. I'm fading bats in crappy cold weather. So in Boston, New York, is that going to screw me or give me a potential edge? For what it's worth, Boston in particular is like 40 degrees. Winds are blowing in. I hate the weather there. But also, every bad weather game has scored like 20 runs this year, and every good weather game has scored 4. So, Cheese, I know that you look at the
I think
weather,
we can say Brian Reynolds just cares not about weather.
Yeah, he's going to beat the cover off the ball no matter what. Is it something that you considered looking at the weather in Boston and New York as you were making your stacks, Cheese?
It's not a no on a it's not a big enough difference. It's not like we have this huge spread in games, and like the game I kind of like better has this amazing weather anyway. Like I like the games in the order. I like them the same.
Yeah, that's just fine. No offense taken. Let's see if we got any other QQs. Does the wind in the White Sox game matter today? This is a question I've gotten a lot of. The winds are blowing across the field, but they're blowing like 25 to 30 miles per hour sustained with stronger gusts. I really only care if it's blowing out or blowing in. I'm sure there will be some impact, but I don't know what it's going to be. So I don't know. Cheese, do you have any thoughts? Winds blowing across the field?
No, I mean, from the little arrow, it looks like just maybe it could just slightly go that way a little bit, and then it would be blowing maybe out towards the pole.
Yeah,
but no, it's not. That's another one. It's just not changing anything I feel about it.
Yeah. Dean pointing out, TJ said, we are going to choose the Spidey bombs. Who exactly is picking these Spidey bombs? It's TJ and perhaps this man who's just showed up, Spidey himself. TJ, I assume we got there with the likes.
We got there with the likes. How it works, Dean, and Dean never pays attention to a word I say when I'm on GrindersLive. So I understand that he forgets, but Spidey gives me a list of 3. Spidey gives me 3 Spidey bombs, and then I choose which ones to relay to the people. And so I'm going to give the first one. I can't quite see how we're up to 130 likes here. I'm going to give the first one, which Roth pointed out. It's Brian Reynolds at 130 likes. But because Roth made the call with the combined weather bomb here, I only need 150 likes for Spidey bomb number 2.
You got to give him another. You can't give him the one I already gave him. They
20
hit the
more
like
likes.
button.
That's it. 20 more likes. That's easy. We can do that. How many minutes do we got before lock? I can't see with this mask on.
Like almost 10. No, more than 10.
Oh,
12.
Yeah, 12.
12. Oh, hell yeah. We can get 20 more likes easy with enough time for people to get their bets in and get this in before their lineups.
All right, I'll allow it. There you go. Spidey bomb / combined weather bomb. I don't even though the weather sucks. it's not a weather bomb.
I'll even keep this on until we get there.
I really okay. You do you. I'll take a few more QQs. We'll dive into it. Hit that like button. We'll get in another Spidey bomb. Tom says DK Cash in the outfield. TJ, DK Cash in the outfield, 3,800 or below. I've got Ramirez.
Well, I guess we got to take this off to
see what you're looking at. Yeah, it's a good choice.
DK Cash in the outfield. 3,800 or below.
Cheese, do you have a name already that just popped to your head when I said that?
I mean, the answer is there is no great cash game play, period, in that range.
I would go down to Burleson and try and upgrade somewhere else.
Yeah, so I was going to say, if you can use the salary somewhere else, just play something super cheap. And if you don't want the salary somewhere else, I would play Dylan Carlson ahead of Burleson, but they're about the same play. And so if you can use the money, use the money.
Okay, very good. Favorite stack in a FanDuel GPP? TJ, you have a more condensed pool. Who's your very favorite of that condensed stack pool?
So the projection answer is Tampa Bay, but they're also going to be the highest owned. So in a GPP, I think I'm going to go Atlanta.
Very good. Steve O says, Cheese, what is the first bat you eliminate from a Brave stack and why? Because sometimes you eliminate a good hitter for ownership reasons.
Right. Well, so I would recommend that you even later read the Musings Little Braves section today. And what I said in there is because of the way the Braves are spread out, I don't think you build your Braves stack first and then build around it. I think you build the around it first and then fill in whatever 5 Braves fit, because I like the Brave at every position. Usually the way you build, I want d'Arnaud and Albies in there because catcher and second are the weaker positions. But I don't think, I think it's wrong to say, I want Acuna, Riley, and Harris, or I want Ozuna, Olsen, and Rosario. Like, I think you build the rest of your lineup first because any of those Braves work. But if you need me to pick one, let's say you eliminate, if you count Ozuna, he's cheap. I'd eliminate him. Out of the big bats, honestly, I would not play Acuna and play another big outfielder just because then you're different.
Good stuff. I like it, Cheese. I like it. DK Cash, TJ, do you prefer Olsen or Arenado as your 5K type play?
I think I like Olsen a little bit better than Arenado, but it's close. And 15 more likes from Spidey Bomb number 2. This is a sneakier one. Come on, guys.
Okay. All right. Do you like the Orioles, Cheese, versus the Rangers bullpen? Hang on. Rereading. If you like the Orioles versus the Rangers bullpen, could you play a Baltimore 3-man and DeGrom, or is that just getting too wackadoo?
Because we have so many aces today, that's just wildly unnecessary.
Fair enough. DKGPP TJ, 32 hundo or less, outfield spot still open. Who's the best play?
Burleson.
Smitty says Burleson or Siri in cash. Cheese.
So where this is tricky is theoretically both of them could be pinch hit risks. But I think Burleson's probably the bigger pinch hit risk. I guess I'd play Siri, but either of them could get pinch hit for.
All right. Anthony pointing out the win.
Nice about like a Siri thing in a cash lineup is you also probably have a bunch of other Tampa Bay players there. So it kind of raises your tournament ceiling on this slate if you're basically just doing a Tampa Bay stack anyway.
Gotcha. All right. Anthony's pointing out the wind is stupid here in Chicago. Somebody else in the chat said something similar. It's just insane. But again, if it's not blowing out, it's not blowing in, then I don't know what kind of impact it's going to have. I will see really quick with my super duper cool tool Weather Edge if in similar weather games we have any distinct pattern. Yeah, there has been a slight increase to runs and home runs because, as Cheese mentioned, it's mostly right to left, but a little bit out to left as well. And our sample size is only 8 games because there's not many times when it's 26 miles per hour. And I'm honestly surprised it's that many times, but it's Chicago. It's the Windy City, so that would explain it. We'll see if we can get a few more QQs here. Webb or Javier? Cheese.
Javier.
Are they going to cancel the Reds game? I got an NRFI prop. I believe that means no run first inning. Is that correct?
Probably.
Geez, have you not heard of NRFI? Everybody loves this.
No, that's the first I've heard someone say that.
It's blowing up. It's the new thing you bet on. It's like in basketball, people bet on first basket, even though it's a completely ludicrous thing to bet on. In baseball, you bet on NRFI, no run
There
first
you go.
innings.
I don't bet on anything, much less that, but I do like to know the acronyms. So there you go.
Yeah, I suppose if you don't bet on anything, that makes it difficult.
I feel like I cheated the people since you already gave them the
you did. That's what I told you.
I just need 3 more likes. I just need 3. Get me to 140 and I'll give it. Just 3.
I am gonna go find the damn YouTube right now, and I'm going to hit the like button.
Let
Hang
me
on.
go see if I think I liked it, but I'll
That's
go.
what we all need to do.
I can log into a different YouTube. And I'm not going to cheat. No cheating.
Hang on. There you go. You got another like from me.
All right. I'm sure it's going to pop up there here.
Let's hear it. Let's get the second Spidey bomb. Hit the Spidey bomb graphic.
Nolan Gorman, Spidey bomb number 2 for the batting 5th for the St. Louis Cardinals today. That is Spidey bomb number 2. Let's get it. So we got Brian Reynolds and Nolan Gorman.
You got it. Lock it in. Spidey knows. Spidey knows what's up. Hey, we got a few more QQs. I would love to get out of here 2 minutes early, but I don't think it's going to happen, and that's a shame. Shoezilla. It's just a great name. Shoezilla says FanDuel outfield value play cheese, Harold Ramirez or Sowinski.
That's one of those, like, Ramirez is definitely chalkier and will project better because he plays for the Rays. If you don't care at all about ownership or correlation or anything, I guess I'd play Ramirez. But I'm fine with Sowinski if you need something different.
Okay. I love this question from CLT Go Blue. Roth, is this a MLB player or an old-timey soda baron? Oscar Colas. I think it's an old-timey soda baron. There's no way that's a real person. Oscar Colas. I can't imagine good old Oscar Colas ever played in the MLB, but I'm going to Google it. Oscar.
I mean, what if that's the guy who invented Pepsi? I mean,
that's what I figured. I assumed.
That's what I assume.
Yeah. But there he is. He is apparently on
He's
the
actually pretty good prospect.
Oh, very good. Yeah. Good old Oscar Colas. Anthony says, Cheese, your top 2 pitchers not named Cole.
Javier and DeGrom.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And those are my top 2 even named Cole.
Oh, that's what I was going to say. Those are your top 2. Same. Cheese. DKGPP single entry, TJ McClanahan or Javier?
McClanahan.
Very good. DK cash question, Cheese. It's a 3v3. Goldie Siri. I forgot this dude. I can't pronounce his name for the freaking life of me. Mejia. Yes. That guy.
Okay.
What is it?
Mejia.
The J.
Back to the McClanahan question. What I want to go back to it quick and say, if the rest of your lineup is relatively chalky, I would go McClanahan, and if the rest of your lineup is different enough, then I would just go with the higher projected play in Javier.
Okay, good answer. Okay, DK Cash Cheese, Goldie Siri Mejia or Contreras of the William variety, Yandy and Harold.
I would Goldie Siri Mejia.
Very good. TJ, Ramirez versus Wade.
Ramirez.
I forgot that there are certain names in baseball, like Spanish names that I can't pronounce. I just have this weird mental tongue hurdle, and I can't do it. I'm going to try to break through that this season. Zero, whatever happened to the tattoo TJ was going to get for the likes this year? Did that ever happen?
Still going to happen. It hasn't yet, but it's going to be right here, and it's going to be Spider-Man related. It's still going to happen.
Did we get enough likes to get you to get a tattoo?
It was something I was considering anyways, and then we made it if we got enough likes. Kirk Dees and Dre would pay for me to get a tattoo. And so once we get that arranged, we'll get it done.
Okay. So you were going to pay for it, and then you bilked likes out of the people, and you no longer have to pay for the tattoo.
I'm really good at my job.
It's absolutely brilliant. I'm very impressed. Anthony says, is Cole in play? Will that game get rained out? Where's Cole?
That's New York.
No, there's going to be rain in New York, and it's going to be so light that it's going to be like you felt like maybe someone spat on you briefly, but they didn't. It was just a little bit of rain that fell. Weird descriptor,
nice.
But yeah. Let's see here. A minute until lock. Brandon Marsh was scratched because of a ankle sprain, for what it's worth.
It's worth nothing, but thanks for telling us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Showboat King says he has a Mejia story for us. He once yelled at Mejia in Atlanta in the bullpen and told him to hit because I rostered him on DK, and he looked at me like I was from Mars. That's a good story. That's good. All right. FanDuel Cash, last question here from a side. Cheese. Shane O'Mac, Pena, Arenado, or Javier Cruz Goldie?
Javier Cruz Goldie.
Okay, that's it. With that, I got to bounce. We've basically hit the lock. If we haven't hit the lock, we will soon. So for TJ, there we go. We hit lock. For our wonderful production crew, always working hard behind the scenes, guys. We appreciate you. We love you, and we will catch you tomorrow. You have been crushed.